Hey everybody, Charlie and Iron 2 here, and welcome back to the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe Mega Super Awesome Edition. We last left off, we got what I believe is an ending of sorts, with a female narrator telling us to quit the game. Then we went through a door entitled, titled New Content. And we had to restart the game again because the new content was a jump circle. But now we've restarted and this is different. Let's check it out.
Psst! Stanley! Come over here! In the vent! I want to show you something!
Well, tell you what, let's start off by going in the vent. What is this? Sunset. Awesome. Let's go in the vent. Oop. Loading screen.
Okay, you remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past, and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Well, yeah, I like this. This seems cool. Some like Gothic architecture going on here.
I call it the Memory Zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
This is really cool. Bread basket? 2013, when the Stanley Parable was released.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the Memory Zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap re-release? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Time. Indoors Monthly, Shapes, Graphs, National Geographic, Cargo. Can you put National Geographic and Time in here with Stanley Parable, Galactic Cafe, Collector's Edition, First Edition, Indie Box Collector's Edition, Audience Award, British Academy of Film and Television Arts, Stanley Parable. I like it. We got postcards. We got pamphlets. Our First Kiss, My First Car, the release of the Stanley Parable in 2013. The original remake. Buy on Steam or download the demo for free. What everyone's saying. Linguists identify 15,000-year-old ultra-conserved words, the Washington Post. Researchers identify 24 words whose sound and meaning have survived the past 15,000 years. 6 companies of a great corporate culture, John Coleman, Harvard Business Review. Business bloggers at Harvard Business Review discuss a variety of business topics, including managing people, innovation, leadership, and more. Be my Valentine. Good times. Let's begin again. Mind control facility. Trip down memory lane. It's the first dollar you made. Bits of music, Stanley Parable. Smile because it happened. Begin the demo. Won't let me do it. Go outside. Don't play for 5 years. Unachievable. It's impossible to get this achievement. I like how there's actually an outside here. Work in progress beta nominee, British Academy Award. New video game releasing today. Creator surprisingly down to earth. Rutgers goes from scandal to new crisis. Colleges show uneven effort to enroll poor. Costs hinder new tech to achieve diversity. Business leaders pushing election of council allies. 50% off designer hat, but a small creature owns the other half. Okay. Stanley Parable deals tough choices. Does it, though? None of the choices are really that tough. We've done that one, that ending. Are we free? Love and memory of little Stanley. What is... Is that a mouse? Like a beautiful hillside here. Can't walk through these flowers. They're impenetrable. Here's where I lose the copyright for this. I'm gonna have a claim.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim. It was Persona 3. It was all of them. And now...
Good games.
It's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now. A lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
An hour? Don't read any reviews except this one. How to review a game like the Stanley Parable. To describe any one part of it is to risk its ruination. To detail what it has to say about the game design, the illusion of choice, and the psychology of the gamer is to tell you too much. All right, well then you've told us too much. Comparisons, too, are going to be woefully inadequate. Perhaps its closest to cousin would be Dear Esther. I did play Dear Esther. But where Dear Esther wastes the form of interactive entertainment, Stanley Parable uses it and then subverts it. Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created. Weird. Even so, holding the game to the standards of any other title is simply not going to be correct. So how to review what has become known as the Stanley Parable HD, the full-scale reimagining of one of the most intriguing mods available online. How do you discuss it, analyze it, and recommend it? It's quite simple. You don't. Flawless victory. Games rated 10 aren't perfect since nothing is, but they come as close as you can get with a given genre. The new must-have game in its sector, we're talking pure ecstasy. Check out more reviews on the Destructoid story guide. How much were you guys paid to write that? All right. Game is fun, but I'm going to tell you what, it ain't a 10. Sorry, everybody watching this that thinks it's a 10. It is fun, and I do like it, but it's not a 10, and it's not every game ever. Maintenance room. Can't open it. All right, what do we got? We got more pictures. That's just straight, like, that's just Portal. That's a picture of Portal. That's a picture of Minecraft. Tasteful, nostalgic. It was good. Choice. Person of the year. Off on. I hate Mondays. Only 2 character models. The original remake. 2 doors. There's just a car. It's old Mustang. All right. The Stanley Parable. Is that what the box art looked like? That's horrible box art. That looks like some type of office program that you would buy in the early 2000s. Your number is 29. Top 10 memories.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. It just needed to be left alone, to spend the rest of time collecting dust in the hallowed hall of beloved video game memories.
I've always been someone who wants to go the wrong way first in games. I mean, that's like everybody, though, right? When I sense that a game is trying to usher me down a particular path, to get me to run from left to right, or maybe charge straight ahead, I need to satisfy my instinct to go against the grain, to explore, to see what the designers have put back the other way. Yes, but like the whole point of the game design recognizes that that's like our natural instinct. Sometimes I find a one-up or a collectible stashed away to reward me for my intrepid behavior. At other times, my explorations are rewarded only by the crushing disappointment of running up against an invisible wall. Whatever I find or don't find, my action is a manifestation of my desire to exert some independence, to make my own choices within a system that severely limits my options and encourages certain specific behaviors. The Stanley Parable feels alive in its responsiveness to your choices and its desire to subvert your expectations and keep you on your toes. I think of the Stanley Parable as sort of a video game analog for Charlie Kaufman and Spike Jonze's brilliant film adaptation, which gently mocked the ways in which so many films manipulate audiences with formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons, while simultaneously moving me with its formulaic plot twists and situations in which characters learn huge life lessons. Well, I mean, you kind of have to do that, right? When you only have, at most 3 hours, usually an hour and a half to 2 hours to tell a story, you kind of have to use tried and true methods of character development and, as you say, formulaic plot twists. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and in other systems too, like our workplaces and our families, and a game that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. Going the wrong way has never felt so good. Stanley Parable PC. The good. Spectacularly funny, packed with meaningful choices that offer delightfully surprising results, simultaneously incredibly smart and wickedly entertaining. The bad. None. There's no game that doesn't have bad. Carolyn likes to venture off the beaten path in life as well as in games, but unfortunately the narrator in her head isn't nearly as witty as the one in the Stanley Parable. Okay. Still, I wouldn't rate it a 9 or a 10. I haven't finished it yet. So far, this is a solid 7 or 8. All right, now where do we go? Can we go here? We go here.
These were simpler times, Stanley. But I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Cold drinks. $1.25. Oh. Steam reviews. Oh, here's the bad reviews are down here. Oh, I'm looking forward to reading some bad Steam reviews.
No. Oh, God, no. Stanley, it's a collection of reviews from Steam, the online video game distributor. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they?
Sure. Whoa. User reviews. I love Steam user reviews.
I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny.
I wanted to read the rest.
To make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Well, there looks like a lot down here. Trying to make sure I don't miss a path or anything. Ah, we can't read those. Go in here? Nope. Another one.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record.
So,
I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered.
while I don't 100% agree with this, there are some truths in here. It does kind of play on the one shtick of, hey, you don't have a choice, ha 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 ha, over and over and over. So I get it. I get you, Noodle Chef. But I would still recommend it. I would not recommend it because of that. All right, coming out of here. More bad reviews. Fall down. Can't go back.
What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button.
Cookie 9.
A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
I'm just going to walk on this board. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Weird.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story, and the choices, or what have you, and therefore, by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably, we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so, now you see, blah, 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245.
Did it work?
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations on the nature of choice in video games. Of course, I happen to believe it was perhaps one of my more profound such ruminations. Not that, of course, you need a description of it, but if I had to describe it, I'd say it was perhaps less of a rumination and more of a treatise. Or maybe a... Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it's right at your fingertips. Okay, welcome back, Stanley.
Just
Now,
gonna
I
keep
should
pressing
say
it.
that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes? Stanley, please don't push the button
12
again.
hours?
It's been 12
Look,
hours.
there's not even a door back here.
You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked.
Just gonna keep
Stanley,
pressing it.
you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
Here's a
I'm
month.
sitting. Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all
And
but
button.
regret.
How many years? And button. And button.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their
And
teeth.
button. And button.
The end is never the end, 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 is never the end.
Button. At some point, something's going to happen, right? And button. Oh gosh, something's happened. And button. And button. Oh, nature is taken over. New life blooms. Can we pick these 2D textures? Button. What? Tessellation? Creepy. Button. Running out of stuff. Button. Uh-oh. It's on the ground. We're like leaning. We in Black Mesa? Hold on. Can't jump. What if we just press the button again? Can't press the button anymore. Freedom. I want to check behind here. On top? Can't go on top. Won't let us. Alright, let's wander out into the desert. Oh, I'm stuck on some debris. Oh, that's the end. Here we are again. Was all of that the new content, or is there more new content?
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall.
Okay. He's saying different stuff. Let's go into the mind control. Oh. New content. I'll go there in a second. I want to go into
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors,
the right
he
ending.
entered the door on his left.
I want to follow the narrator and see what he wants us to do. Then we'll go into the new content.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Yep, we're here.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. He began wildly tearing through papers on the boss's desk, pulling books off the shelf, looking behind paintings, desperate for clues to his situation. But his attention was caught by a keypad behind the boss's desk. What could its purpose be? In fact, this keypad guarded the terrible secret that lay buried below his feet. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Can't press up. So now we're going to go into the mind control room. See what happens when we actually do that.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out?
So we were up there before.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Can't really read that. You guys can pause it and read it. Let's head over here.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world? But here was the proof, the heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content, walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
I can't help but notice it looks like I can power all this up. All right, let's keep doing what the narrator is saying, and then we'll go off course from that. System power.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
By hitting off. Is this the freedom
Blackness
ending?
And a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes. He had won. He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
Got an achievement, beat the game, and get your first achievement. So if you just follow the narrator, you can be done with the game in like 5 minutes. All right, there's still a few other paths that we need to take, as well as some new content, but we'll do that next episode. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy my content, please consider a like, a comment, and or subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you then. Bye-bye.